Today we are going to learn how to factor trinomials. Now, let's take a look at this trinomial that I have right here. Now, I want you to pay attention to something. This right here is called the quadratic term. This one here is called the linear term, and this one is the constant term. Now, today our quadratic term will have a coefficient of 1, and that's the type of factoring we are going to do today. Let's take a look at the word called factoring. What does that mean? When I look at factor, or when I think about factor, I'm thinking of, what factors come up with something. Well, guys, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Today we are going to look at what binomial factors come up with this trinomial that I'm pointing at right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin our instructional piece. Now, folks, last chapter we learned how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide polynomials. Well, today we are going to learn how to factor a trinomial into two binomials. In other words, if I were to take two binomials, and we were to use the distributive property and distribute it, that would give us a trinomial. Well, today I want to go backwards. In other words, what trinomial could factor into two binomials? So that's where we're going for today. Okay, let's take a look at how we can factor this problem right here. Now, first of all, let me give you some background. Let's write ax squared plus bx plus ac. And I want to show you a little something that could be important here. First of all, when the c value, which is my constant value, is positive, I'm going to look at the sign of my b value, which is my linear term, because that b value will tell me what my signs are. Okay, so let me write this down. So when my constant is positive, you want to look to the sign of the b value. If the b value is positive, then both my constant values are going to be positive. Okay, so it's going to be positive and positive. Okay, when my b value is negative, both of my signs on my c value will be negative, negative. All right, now, what happens if my c value is negative? If my c value is negative, then that means my signs for my factors will always be minus, plus, and we're going to put the minus first. Okay, so now that we have the general rules down of what we're going to do, let's go ahead and let's find the factors of 42. The factors of 42 are this. Let's see, we have 2 and 21. I have 21 and 2. We have 3 and, 14. 14 and 3. I have 6 and 7. 7 and 6. And let's see, I have 2 more. I have 1 and 42. And 42 and 1. Now notice I always go both directions with it. In this specific problem, it's not going to make a difference. But down the road, it will make a difference. Now that I have these factors listed down here, what we're going to do is I am going to find the factors of the quadratic term. Now, the factors of the quadratic term, since this term right there is just a 1, that means its factors are just 1 and 1. All right, now, look at this as if it is a bunch of columns. Okay, so let me give you an idea. If we were to draw and make columns kind of like what a spreadsheet would have. Okay, so let me create some columns. All right, now, notice here. This would be considered like an outside column. And these columns in here would be considered like the inside columns. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the outside columns together, and I'm going to multiply the inside columns together, and I'm going to add those columns. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can see just what this is going to come up to be. So, for starters, I am going to multiply this 1 and this 21 together. So I have 1 times 21 plus, and now I'm going to multiply this 1 and this 2 together because those are inside columns. So 1 times 2, and I'm going to go ahead, perform the multiplication, and add those products, and what do I get? Let's see, 21 plus 2, 23. Now, I am looking for 13. Okay, so that tells me that combination is not going to work. Next, I am going to, again, do this 1 right here, but this time I'm going to go down to here. So I'm going to multiply 1 and 2 together. So 1 times 2 plus, and I'm going to multiply this 1 and this 21 together, 1 and 21, and I see that's going to give me 23 as well. All right, well, I'm almost running out of room here. But if you were to keep this going all the way down, and eventually this is what's going to happen. You're going to look at this 1 and this 7 right here, and then you're going to look at this 1 and this 6 right there. And if we multiply those together, okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to multiply this 1 right here with this 7. Okay, so let's see here. Let me put it right here. 1 times 7 plus, and I'm going to multiply this 1 and this 6 together. So 1 times 6. So 7 plus 6 is, voila, 13. Yes, that's what I was looking for. All right, so that tells us here that these factors right here, let me change pen colors here. That tells me that these factors right here are the factors that are going to work. Okay, so how do I put that into my factor choices? Well, here's how it goes. Let's go ahead and let's do our parentheses for our binomials. Now, because this is an x squared here, that means I am going to have an x right there and an x right there. Now notice, this is the first term of the binomial, or trinomial. See, this is your first term of your trinomial. Now, this here is your last term of your trinomial. So I'm going to put an L above it. Now, for my first term of the trinomial here, I am going to put this 1 in the first spot right there, and I'm going to put this 1 in the first spot of that binomial right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 1 and 1. And I always put it in the same order. So this 1 goes first, that 1 goes second. Next, I'm going to take this 6 and this 7. Now, notice that's in the last spot, the last term of the trinomial. So I'm going to put it in the last spot of this binomial and the last spot of that binomial. Okay, so now notice it's going to be a plus 6 and a plus 7. So I'm going to go plus 6 and plus 7. Now let's check it and see how it's going to go. Let's see how it's going to work. So if I were to check this thing, 1x times 1x gives me x to the second. 1x times a 7 gives you plus a 7x. 6 times the 1x gives you plus a 6x. And 6 times 7 gives you 42. We can add the like terms together. I get x squared plus a 13x plus a 42. And guess what? If I look up here, that's what I started with. So it checks. And that means, where's our answer? Our answer is right here. These are the factors of this trinomial right there. Okay, let's go do another problem. Okay, folks, in looking at this example here, let's just remember what we talked about on the previous slide. The constant is positive, so that means I'm looking at the linear term. The linear term is negative. That means that both my signs, as I've come up with all my different factor choices, are going to be negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So, in factoring this out, I am going to get, let's see, how about negative 8 times negative 5, negative 5 times negative 8. We have negative 2 times negative 20, negative 20 times negative 2. What else? How about negative 10, negative 4, negative 4, negative 10, and we have negative 1 and negative 40, and then negative 40 and negative 1. Okay, so there's my different factor choices. Now, what are the factors of 1? Well, they're just 1 and 1. All right, so let me go ahead and draw what we have here. So let's just do this so that we can kind of see. And all right, so now I'm going to multiply 1 times negative 5 together. So 1 times negative 5. Now notice what I just did. I multiplied my outside columns, and I'm adding that to the product of my inside columns right there. Okay, so 1 times negative 5 plus, and then I'm going to take, let me change pen colors here. We're going to take 1 times negative 8. Okay, so 1 times negative 8. And that gives me negative 5 plus negative 8, which is negative 13. Hey, I got it, and on the first try. How do I know I got it? Well, look right here, folks. See this? Negative 13? Negative 13, it matches. So that tells me that this is my factor choice that's going to work for factoring this trinomial. All right, so let's first of all, let's put our binomial groupings down here. Now, remember, because this is x squared, that means I'm going to have an x here and an x here. Okay, now look, it's this one, the first one goes in the first spot right there. The second one goes in the first spot of the second binomial. The first factor here, the negative 8, is going to go here in the second spot, or the last spot of the first binomial. And this factor of the last term goes in this last spot of that binomial. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it in place. So I'm going to have a 1 and a 1 and a negative 8 and negative 5. It is very, very important that you keep this order. Keep that order. Okay, let me show you what I just did. I put this one here. I put that one right there. And then I put this one here, and I put that one right there. So in your notes, maybe go ahead and put that in. It's very important to always keep that order. All right, now let's go check it. So if I check it, let's see what I get here. Well, x times x gives you x to the second. X times negative 5 gives you minus 5x. Negative 8 times x gives you negative 8x. And negative 8 times negative 5 gives you a positive 40. Do you have any like terms? Yes, you do. That gives us x squared minus 13x plus a 40. Compare that with what I have up here. Is it the same thing? It is. So that means it's going to check. And where is my answer? Remember, guys, don't make the mistake. This down here is not your answer. Okay, that's your check. Your answer is right there, the part that I just boxed. All right. Let's go try another example where maybe the constant is going to be negative. Okay, folks, let's take a look at this one. Okay, and we're going to see if we can go through this a little quicker here. Let's see. I have negative 5 times, wait a second. What are my signs going to be? Okay, what did I say at the very first slide? When your constant is negative, it's always going to be one of each, a negative one and a positive one, and the negative one is always on the inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's finish this. So negative 5 and a positive 4. Then I have a negative 4 times a positive 5. Negative 2 times a positive 10. Negative 10 times a positive 2. Any other factors? Yes. Negative 1 times a positive 20. And then negative 20 times a positive 1. All right, so what are the factors of 1? Well, they're going to be 1 and 1. All right, so let's go ahead and draw our little guidelines here to kind of help us with keeping things straight. All right, so let's start with multiply the outsides. 1 times 4, 1 times 4, plus, multiply the insides together. So that would be 1 times negative 5. So 1 times negative 5, that gives me 4 plus a negative 5, which is a negative 1. Is that it? Nope. Oh, I don't see anything there. But remember, when you don't see anything there, there's a 1 there. Okay, so you know what? That is almost it, but it's not quite. Okay, let's go down and try the next one in line. So how about this one? 1, we're going to try 1 right here times 5. Okay, so 1 times 5 plus. All right, now let's try, how about this one with that negative 4? Okay, so 1 times negative 4, that gives me a 5 plus a negative 4, which is a 1. Yes, that's what I wanted. That gave me what I wanted right there. Okay, so that tells me that these are my factor choices that are going to work. So let's go ahead and circle those so I can keep that straight. All right, so let's do this. Create my parentheses for my two binomials. I know because this right here is 1x squared, or wait a second, because this is x squared, that means this is going to be an x right here and an x right there. Okay, so let's put that in place. All right, so now this one goes where? It goes there, yes. So let's put that one there. Okay, this one goes where? Well, it goes right there. That is correct. So let's go ahead and put that one there. Okay, what about this negative 4 right here? Well, it's part of the last term, so it's going to go in one of these two last term spots right there. So because it is the first one that I come to, negative 5 and 4, that means it's going to go in the first binomial in the last spot. So I'm going to put it, and it is negative 4, so I'm going to put negative 4. And of course, lastly, I have a positive 5, and that's going to go right there. Okay, let's check it. How's this going to be? Well, let's see here. X times x is x to the second. X times a 5 is a plus a 5x. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. We're going to add like terms. Those are my like terms. I get x squared plus an x minus a 20. Compare that with what I started with. Is it what I started with? It is. That means it checks. And this is my answer. All right, guys. Now, for this example, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try one on your own. And when you're all done with it, then hit play again, and I'm going to go ahead and show you your answer. Okay, guys, now that you've worked this one out here, let me just show you the answers. And by the way, as you do a few of these, you are going to get really quick. You are going to get so quick at some of these that you can just look at it and do what I am doing right now. You'll be able to put negative 6 plus 3, and you'll look at it, and you'll be done in a matter of just like seconds. All right, well, folks, that's a wrap. Let's go ahead and take a look at the assignment we're going to be doing for tomorrow. All right, guys, here is your assignment for next class period. So when you come into class tomorrow, we're going to be working on this problem set, and the problems that we're going to be working are also shown on this slide. All right, well, have a great day, and I'll see you in class.